Good morning, Missouri. It's Thursday, February 8th, 2018.
Winter Olympics almost here.
You know, the countdown, I just noticed it.
Today.
Where did it go?
Yeah,
it's gone now. Well, it was there. It said 13 hours. I was like, ooh, okay.
It's almost time. That's right. And actually, the opening ceremonies are right during our show tomorrow morning.
Right.
Yeah. So we'll have some highlights for you.
Oh, yeah. That'll be awesome. Yeah, it's going to be beautiful today, beautiful tomorrow. Weekend, we're back to more winter-like conditions. So keep in mind, temperatures today are actually going to be closer to our high temperatures on Saturday and Sunday. But the good news is, here's a look at those wind chills. We're actually back into the teens. None of us in the single digits this morning, with the exception of just off to our east of our viewing area. Bowling Green's checking in at 9. All of us are into the double digits as far as feels like temperatures this morning. Actual air temperatures kind of hanging around those mid to upper 20s for the next several hours this morning. And then we're back into the upper 40s for afternoon highs today. We're going to talk about that weekend weather maker coming up in a few minutes.
President Trump will speak this morning at the 66th annual National Prayer Breakfast.
More than 3,500 people from around the world will join the president and members of Congress at the event. Every sitting president since President Dwight Eisenhower has spoken at this breakfast. The Philadelphia Eagles quarterback Carson Wentz is the keynote speaker of the day. A Missouri special election is making waves across the country. Jefferson County Democrat Mike Rivas won a state house seat in a district that leaned heavily for Trump in 2016. Many in the national media are saying this is a sign of an upcoming blue wave of Democrat wins.
Places that supported President Trump, places that supported Governor Greitens, and now we're maybe having a little bit of buyer's remorse and thinking very seriously about supporting Democrats, and I think we're seeing that in the special elections last night, and we'll continue to see it through November.
Local Republicans say this so-called wave is more of a trickle. Republicans still took 3 of Missouri's 4 special elections on Tuesday and maintain a supermajority in the state House and Senate.
White House aide Rob Porter has resigned amid allegations of domestic abuse. The White House staff secretary is described as one of President Trump's closest aides. Reports allege Porter's 2 ex-wives have accused him of verbal and physical abuse. Porter released a statement saying the allegations are false. Senate leaders say they've reached a breakthrough on a 2-year budget deal that would boost spending on both military and domestic programs. The agreement comes ahead of an upcoming midnight deadline, which would force another government shutdown. The deal would end the recent fiscal fight between lawmakers.
Also on Capitol Hill, House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi gave a history-making speech lasting more than 8 hours. In the speech, Pelosi demanded House Republicans have an immigration vote to resolve the status of the Dreamers. The speech broke the previous record dating back to at least 1909. House speeches are normally on a strict time limit, but leadership figures are allowed to extend their remarks.
We really, again, are in a position to do something, and we feel helpless. That's what the hard part is, helpless, if our speaker will not, a speaker of the whole House, will not give this dignity to this House of Representatives to be able to take a vote on a subject of broad debate in the country, but we can't debate a bill on the floor of the House.
While Pelosi spoke in support of young illegal immigrants, dozens protested in the Capitol for the same cause. They're pushing for DACA protections set to expire next month. DACA has protected more than 800,000 illegal immigrants who were brought to the country as children from being deported.
Here's what's happening right now. Team USA figure skater Adam Rippon reportedly has now turned down an offer to take part in a conversation with Vice President Mike Pence. Pence has been considered an opponent of the LGBT community after he signed the Religious Freedom Restoration Act as the governor of Indiana. This morning, Pence also has sent a message asking Rippon to not fall prey to fake news. But there's definitely some real fallout when it comes to this conversation this morning going into the Olympics.
All right, Ange, thank you very much. Earlier today, Vice President Mike Pence spoke to troops in Japan, reminding them of North Korea's human rights abuses. Pence toured the Joint Operations Centers that monitor the Korean Peninsula. He got a briefing on security threats in the region and the cooperation between the U.S. military and Japanese forces. Pence is in South Korea today to lead the U.S. delegation in the Olympics opening ceremony. While in South Korea, Pence is set to meet with South Korean President Moon Jae-in. Moon has looked to the Games as an opportunity to pursue peace with the North, a move Pence will seek to caution against. Athletes from both Koreas will compete as one hockey team in the Olympic Games. North Korean officials will also be at the Games and say they are not interested in meeting with Vice President Pence. Officials announced this today on North's state-run media. The rumors of a meeting between the two are false. Officials say they're not going to use a sports festival like the Winter Olympics as a political lever between the feuding nations.
The Olympic torch is making its way closer to the Olympic Stadium in Pyeongchang. The opening ceremony is tomorrow, and U.S. athletes are getting ready. U.S. luge medalist Aaron Hamlin has been announced as the flag bearer for the Team USA at the ceremony. Meanwhile, the International Olympic Committee is still waiting to make a decision on 45 Russian athletes' appeals Friday, hours before the Olympics opening ceremony. We've been following that story for days now, and we'll bring you the latest updates as we get them. Salt Lake City has become the first U.S. city to pursue a bid for the 2026 or 2030 Winter Olympic Games. The city says it's a good fit because of its experience with hosting the games and ability to keep costs relatively low. Denver and Reno, Nevada have also expressed interest in hosting, but have not announced a bid yet. The deadline to apply is March 31st.
U.S. bobsledder Elena Myers-Taylor says she plans to donate her brain for CTE and concussion research upon her death. Myers-Taylor is the third Olympian to pledge the donation, joining two retired women's ice hockey players. After the athletes' deaths, their brains will be studied in hopes of shedding more light on CTE, concussions, and other traumatic brain injuries.
A Texas gunman suspected of killing a police officer and a civilian is now in custody. The suspect was taken into custody following an hours-long standoff with SWAT officers. The original shooting happened around 8 p.m. The fallen officer was rushed to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. Police say the officer was responding to a call at an apartment complex when the shooting happened. Also in Texas, one man is now in custody after stabbing several people during a religious service. 4 people were taken to the hospital, 2 with life-threatening injuries. Witnesses told police after a song, the suspect jumped from the crowd and stabbed the pastor and 3 others. The suspect was reportedly a member of that congregation.
A Las Vegas judge has ordered police to release 911 calls, body camera video, and several other records from last year's mass shooting. The Las Vegas Police Department wanted to keep the records private until its investigation was finished. The ruling says police will still keep any private information about victims or witnesses hidden. Procter & Gamble announced it's shutting down its plant in Kansas City. All 280 employees at the plant either have to transfer or wait until they're officially laid off in 2020. The 280 full-time employees don't include the 350 contract employees at the site. Procter & Gamble is transferring production to a new facility in West Virginia.
Rescue workers in Taiwan are continuing to search for earthquake survivors today. Officials say the death toll is now up to 9, with 62 people still unaccounted for. Several buildings collapsed or came to rest at sharp angles. Lower floors got crushed into mangled heaps of debris.
And we're off to a mostly clear and dry start to your Thursday morning. We have one more pretty dry day in store for your Friday as well, but we're going to talk about our weekend weather system. Could bring us a mix of rain, sleet, and snow heading into Saturday and Sunday morning. We're going to talk timing and amounts coming up right after the break.
Live look over Columbia at 5:37. We'll be right back.